Hi, this is a live stream for the Generation Zapped page. So I want to thank the folks from Generation Zapped for inviting me to speak. I'm Peter Sullivan. I've been a supporter of the Generation Zapped film for a couple of years now. I met Sabine about 3 years ago during her Kickstarter routine to fund the film, and I've been on board for 3 years since. Um, Basically, I'm the last person on earth you would expect to be involved in a movie about wireless safety. So I work in Silicon Valley, so I'm streaming to you right now from a place right on the edge of Silicon Valley here. I've worked in the field for about 27 years. So I've been in Silicon Valley for 27 years. If you've probably used things that I've designed. So I worked my way up from customer support as an engineer and then a software designer. You've probably, if you've used features on Netflix, you've used things that I've designed. So I'm kind of a Silicon Valley insider, and my friends are all connected. I'm connected to most of the folks that are kind of doing the things that you're used to and playing with and excited about. So you might be surprised that I'm talking about wireless safety, but I'm like most people, I'm concerned about my health and my kids' health. And when I started having health problems, I really diligently started troubleshooting my health and my environment, just like I did when I was a computer troubleshooter. I started systematically going through all the different factors. And, first you start looking at diet and, you start looking at chemicals and all these things. And I had done everything I could, and I was still having health problems. And I was about 30 pounds lighter than I am now. I'm not an overweight person. I was pretty skeletal. Back in 2009. And I had a building biologist come to the home looking for issues and found some electrical problems. And we lowered those levels. We found those wireless levels were pretty high. Obviously in Silicon Valley, I had all the toys and been playing with them for years, way before other people had them, and saw the effects before other people had them. So I've had about 10,000 hours of really high EMF exposure, and then I've spent a lot of time lowering the level. So I spent about 10,000 hours in really low EMF environments. And this room specifically is one of those. So this room is designed to shield out all wireless exposure. And I'm connected to an Ethernet cable talking to you now, so I'm not getting any exposure as I speak. So I've been in both environments. And we're finding that people, when we give them the experience of being in this environment and that environment, being in a high wireless environment and a low wireless environment, people can feel the difference. I would say about 95% of people can feel the difference, and the difference is you feel calmer and better. And so, especially in the sleep environment. So, but this represents a really complex problem. We've got all these really popular devices and technologies that people are really loving and addicted to, and yet there's some harm going on here. Now, I had assumed, like most people, that these things have been well tested, and that anyone who even mention this stuff was just kind of, acting out of emotion or fear or whatever. It turns out to be quite the opposite. And it was a very humbling experience for me, and an experience that I had to go through years of kind of denial and all this stuff through. So I want to help accelerate that process for you, so you don't have to suffer as long as I did. It took a long time. And, I'm sorry that, I'm a proponent of all this stuff. I had assumed, like everyone, that this had been well tested. Again, it's quite the opposite. There was a lot of excitement about making money in this field. The wireless stuff went out to consumers without being tested. So I've taken the time now. I've met with the FCC on this topic. I've met with the folks I met with George Carlo, who's in the film Generation Zapped, and talked to him about wireless safety. And of course, he found that it really was not safe. He could not prove safety and only found harm, and wrote a book about the topic. And most people are quite shocked about that. You're just not hearing that side of the story. Sabine's done a great job of crafting this documentary, so you find out about this topic in a way that's not overly dramatic. It's very constructive. It's a very moderate tone, and it's about all of these things that you can do to really start reducing your exposure and to start chipping away at this delusion that we have that wireless is safe and has been well tested. It's not there. The science is quite the opposite. It's hard to tell the story. It's hard to accept it. And I'm sorry that that this is kind of going on. It's kind of a shocking situation. But the film is fantastic. I'm really happy with how it turned out. We've been working on this for 3 years together. The tone is great. I think it's going to really get this message out there. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't going to make this link for a long time. But when you see the movie, once you're aware of the topic, the awareness is more than half the battle. And you realize, oh, this is linked to this. And you will realize that there are health issues, behavioral issues, sleep disruption, ear ringing, headaches, a lot of issues that are kind of related to your exposure, hyperactivity, this sort of stuff that you didn't know. And once the link is there, it really opens up the opportunity to start reducing your exposure and trying to use these technologies in a more constructive way. So I'm excited about the film. I think they did a great job. I've been really happy with how it's been crafted. And I really appreciate you taking the time to support this and sharing this with your friends. This is one of the most important pieces of information you can share with your friends to really protect them right now. So thanks for taking the time. Bye-bye.